Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Sulaiman Rahim here, Master of the Covenant, breaker of the 7 seals. Welcome. We're going to talk about death's defeat. Bring some reality into the situation, our present situation. We've been out of touch with reality for 35,000 years. So let's see if we can come up to date. Brothers and sisters, the Holocaust. We had to go through a period of severe energy deprivation. Like it says, evils must come, but woe to those by whom through it comes. There's a few things I'm going to talk about in the next few days to try to bring this home. The one thing Scripture says, says, can't they see that the righteous are being taken away for the evils to come? The evils to come. Think about those two things together. They're taken away for the righteous. Can't they see the righteous are taken away? Right. From the evils that to come. In other words, they're like disappearing. And then evils must come, but woe by through it comes. So why does evil must come? See, these people have all these crazy ideas. Why God permits this? Why God permits that? Because they have no understanding of God. They say, speak to God. Sheffield Dollar and TDJ, even Farrakhan, he's guided by God. No, he's not guided by any God I know about. He's not even guided by Satan, because Satan would be that damn stupid. Because that fool is stupid. And you're going to realize that in a minute. See, when you understand how the creation works, the knowledge that you're given nowadays is knowledge that's been hidden for trillions of years from the actual public. It says that. It says he would speak things not known from the foundation of the world. It says the truth will flow like rivers, knowledge, because all be given to you because the creation is finished. The creation is finished. We finished it. Now we're going through a period to find out who's worthy to benefit from the creation that we built. Who's worthy? 76 trillion years of creation. Bring all this into existence. Now we've done all the work. Now who's going to be allowed to enjoy it? See? This is a test. Most is a test. I think few understand the concept of the testing that I'm talking about, as far as I say that we turn shit into gold. So we take any situation and we turn it to our benefit. So because we know we will go through this period of energy deprivation, you say, okay, how can we make this benefit us? That's what we think. We'll sit down and think all the bad news, all that kind of stuff. No. We know we have to go through a bad situation, so how do we make it benefit us? Why do we know we have to go through a bad situation? There's no mystery God out there, this wave of wine and things happen. No. We are in the grip of mathematics. Mathematics is the Holy Spirit that controls all of us. The Father, the Son, everything. Because everything is mathematics. And so we have to, we can take, and we can't control mathematics, but we can control the quality. Universe expands and attracts. Expands and attracts. So expands and contracts. Expands and contracts. We ignite the expansion. There's some resisted that. Try to stop the expansion. because they didn't understand. In actuality, the expansion cannot be stopped. Cannot be. The quality of it can be modified, but it can't, because the universe is open and closed like a heartbeat forever, without end. No end to it. There's no beginning. That's hard to understand also, isn't it? But there are those who say, oh no, they like it is. That's the jinn of the time. Just like in gender. There was those who wanted to keep it like it was, but that was impossible. Because they understand the nature of the creation, how the creation works. See? In the beginning of the creation, all life was in the form of one life. The Quran tells you that all life came from one being. So how does that work? One being, not two, not male and female, from one being. So how does that work? I haven't forgot about the Holocaust, brothers and sisters. That's coming through. How does that work? Because all those attributes that you see out there, when you want to see us, look at all life. Allah is He who comprehends all vision, but vision comprehends Him not. That statement itself, if you understand, explains a lot of things. Because there's all vision is Allah. All life, that is Allah. The consciousness of Allah. Because the whole universe is mathematics, and that's Allah. That's what we call the Holy Spirit. It's perfect, because it's mathematics. It says it's greater than the Father and the Son. Who's the Father when they talk about in that sense? The Father is the whole original nation. Okay. Who's the Son? See? That's Suleiman. But I'm not going into that kind of detail today, brothers and sisters. But first being, all attributes you see, the trees, the birds, the bees, all that stuff, all those attributes. Can you say He? That being had all the attributes within it. And how that He pulls out, because the universe expands, it pulls it out. But we could determine the quality of it because we determine how it comes out. Because that's what brings about dissatisfaction. When the universe pulls and you hold on to dissatisfaction because you're feeling that tension. But then when you pull that attribute out, then you relax, everything's calm then. But the universe keeps expanding. So now expansion is even greater than the last time. So you put out something even greater. You put out something even greater. So you start with basic life forms and get more complex, the trees and insects and fish and mammals and so forth, until you get to the end of it where you put something almost close to yourself, a beast that can speak. That's the way it works, brothers and sisters, not just evolution stuff. But if they don't have knowledge of that, and they look at the archaeological record, it looks like evolution, because you see the oldest thing out there, right? What's the oldest thing? The oldest thing out there is, right? The little small creatures. And then it gets more complicated. So it looks like it started from there because they took us out of the picture. And so that's how we relieve the tension. Relieve the tension. Relieve the tension. Relieve the tension. Right? And as we do that, with the word they use, I can't think of the word they use, bro. But it's like, I know I should word this word. Well, you allocate responsibility. So in other words, we had to do all of it. The being had to do all of it. Right? But then, okay, right? Plant life. So instead of us handling all the oxygen and carbon dioxide in ourselves, now we have plants do it. See? So the plants, what we breathe out, the plants breathe in. And what they breathe out, we breathe in. We breathe out carbon dioxide, they breathe out, they absorb carbon dioxide and breathe out air, oxygen. And we take oxygen? No. See? That's what we do. So all these animals and everything have to have a purpose. Delegate, that's what I want to use. We delegate responsibility to each one of those as they come into existence, right? Now something that we used to do ourselves, now it does it. And just we came to gender. That being both head, egg, and sperm within itself. So it fertilized the egg, and the egg fertilized, grew in its womb, and it produced. So it had the mind of both a male and female mind, and a body, a male and female body. And we made a distinction. We made gender. So now the male mind, with about 10% of the female mind, and the male body was segmented to one side, and the female mind with 10% of the male mind on the other side with the body likewise. So now the female, she has the ability, but she has responsibility to carry the baby and deliver it. The male has responsibility to produce the baby, the sperm, and to maintain, right, security and everything for the female. So we delegate as we're going. So then at some time, right, we have predators to keep the animal population down. And like you see, well, what good does a lion does? They keep culling. They keep the a certain animal types from overpopulating. All these things have a purpose. That's why we designed it. All these things came out of us. And as they came out of us, we became more distinct. I mean, initially, right, we didn't have to do certain things that we do now. And we have to use the restroom. We have to do a lot of things that we do now. We have this form then. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. I finally have to do this because sometimes I'm doing it online and somebody's not hearing me and they send me a message, so I have to. Okay with that one. Well. Okay, good. Okay, good. So all those things came out of us, and we became more distinct. So now you have gender, you have male and the female. You have birds. They do certain things. You have fish do certain things. Because we lived in the oceans for trillions of years. How do you think the land got there? It says, maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. You can't listen to these Farrakhan idiots. Because they tell some mystery God doing all these things and everything, and God gave us eyes and ears, and or they never heard of DNA. They're total idiots over there. We're going to talk about them. Total idiots. Total idiots. And so the Holocaust is going to take care of them. Right? The consequence of it. Because they don't believe in consequence either. See? They don't believe in consequence either. But all these things came out of us. So we had to take the land. It says cream of the planet Earth, right? Maker, owner. That means we started this. So how is we to sin the earth and inform we are right now? How is that possible? It had to be fire beings, like it said in the Quran, like Iblis says, you made me a fire. It had to be fire beings, because the sin the earth, I don't care what time history you go to sin the earth, it's fire. And no biological water-based being, right, could live, go anywhere near the center of the earth. It's impossible. It's nearly as hot in earth as in the sun. Not as hot, but it's hot. See? So we have the fire beings. We start like that. We change our form. So it's fire beings. So where did water come from? There was no water. Heaven and earth was once, there was no water. But our atmosphere, the heavens was oxygen, all the gases that you know about. That was our atmosphere. We have atmosphere now, mostly oxygen. Has some other things in it, right? But mostly oxygen. But now we have an atmosphere at that time of all these gases that you know as gas, like hydrogen, oxygen, helium, and so forth, so on. See? So how do you make water? You combine hydrogen and oxygen, two gases. They're both actually fire, but we call them gases for now. You combine the two. That's what the first God did. He combined the two to make water. But we had a lot of opposition then. We had the fire angels, because at that time there was billions of us, but we're all a fire nature. See? But it was powerful because they're all that energy. Can you imagine how much energy we have when the universe totally collapsed? All the energy that's out there was here. There were super beings that you can't imagine. Very big, very powerful, but it was fire-based. In the center of the earth, millions of them. Some say billions. And they loved that situation. It was powerful. Live as long as they wanted to. Have full knowledge of the universe. Very powerful. And they wanted to maintain that situation. They wanted to maintain status quo. And when the 25th scientists decided, no, we must expand the universe, ignite it, they didn't understand that. They wanted to keep things as they are because they know by expanding the universe, they will start losing energy by definition, because now you start putting energy that's here out there. That means they start losing energy. They didn't want to do that because they said no benefit in doing that whatsoever. Why would I want to do that? Why would I be made so weaker? But the universe must expand, and 25th scientists come on. He has 360 degrees. So he went through the process to expand it, and they went through a process. They went through a design to try to stop him. And he had built a fortress for himself in the center of the planet, and they was trying to break through that flame to keep from igniting it. Igniting in the sense the universe to begin the expansion. And what he did was he combined hydrogen and oxygen together. That's the beginning of water. And he destroyed them all. They'd never seen water before. There was fire. Water puts out fire. Destroyed them all instantly. Just like that. And then he put in the process of start converting us to water-based. It took a long time to do it. So we're talking about time, not in the sense we're talking about now, 50 years back there. I mean, 100, 500 years. I mean, they're talking about millions and millions of years. Start changing our nature. So we brought water, but once we brought water, enough water, then we had the surface of the earth covered with water. Because that's where it was. There was an atmosphere, so we turned the water, so that surface, but we were still in the center of the earth. We were still in the center. And once you had sufficient water, then remember, it takes time. It takes time to do this, to build that water. You constantly buying oxygen until you get the amount of water that you think that you need. Thousands, tens of thousands, whatever. At the same time, you migrating towards, you change your form, and you migrating towards, away from the center of the earth, until you get to surface, which is totally covered by oceans. So now you're living in the ocean. By the time you get there, you're not in the form you was of fire. By the time you get to the oceans, you're not in that form anymore. So now you get there. How long? Millions, trillions of years before all this works out like that. Then when you get there, now you have to make dry land. You have to take the land and build it up, build it up, build it up, build it up until, like mountains, until, right, gather together until it breaks the water level. Now you're building land. See, millions and millions and millions of years, trillions of years. We live in the oceans trillions of years. Constantly change of form. Taking this little fish out and little attributes, this, eventually getting to porpoises, sharks, and whales and things like that. It was gigantic. So we continue doing that. Trillions of years. Once we got the land, enough land, we live in the oceans, then we want to move to the land, right? So at some point during that time, right, we take enough hydrogen to make the sun so it keep the waters warm, a certain temperature, and the land. Because up to that point, we was using the heat from the center of Earth to keep things warm, but now that's not enough. That's why sun's made of hydrogen. And it produces healing. That's another story altogether. Why am I saying these things? So, as this trillions of years. So by this time, we've given all life to the ocean. We're constantly inventing ourselves, so to speak, right? Defining ourselves, creation after creation after creation. So once we finish, but as we was moving towards the center, to the surface, right, we was also doing things within the Earth, because the Earth is so within the Earth. They have penetrated maybe a mile, maybe 2 or 3 miles to the Earth, but it's approximately 8,000 miles diameter, 7,925 miles diameter. That's approximately 8,000 miles diameter. That means the radius is about 4,000 miles. From the center to the surface, about 4,000 miles. That's a pinprick. That's a pinprick. The devil's able to go a mile, 2, maybe 5, 6 miles. If they can't go that far, I don't think. That's a pinprick. But we know that most all the precious metals and all the precious jewels and all are formed under great pressure. So what the hell is down there? It's 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles. What's down there? They don't know. They have no idea. They be doing solar and all that kind of stuff. They don't know. But we do. That's Quan says it's gold and silver and all kinds of precious tools, diamonds bigger than houses that we will build with when we go home. They better scratch the surface. They haven't touched our wealth. They haven't touched our wealth. Not to mention all the sand covering all that fertile land. The sand is covering, not to mention that. Land of hopefully milk and honey. So, brothers and sisters, I'm trying to tell you they haven't touched anything. But they still want it, but they can't. They can't, and they got strong gods. They will never be able to get maybe 5 or 10, 20, maybe 100 miles on Earth. So that they won't be able to ever get to the stars. And the Quran says strong gods. So you think too much of them. But we did that. So we finished setting it up because we know where all the gold, we know all the minefields, because we said all that stuff been set up on our way to the surface. We've been in the creation mode since the beginning. Because see, we always have a choice. We have a choice. Because the creation, the universe is going to expand and contract without end. Now we have to decide how we're going to interface with that. Are we going to be in sync with it? Because we don't do nothing, if we just sit and do nothing, the universe still expands, and we just sat there for 76 trillion years in the dark. That first being sat there 76 trillion years in the dark, just forever just sitting there in the dark without doing anything. And if that's not hell, what is it? He can either do that or decide to do something. See where I'm going with some of this? He can sit there or do nothing. He can do nothing or do something. He decided to do something. I said, just sitting there and watch the universe expand. Don't do this. Just sit there for 76 trillion years in the dark, going 76 trillion years coming back. Just sit there. Or creativity, creation, and then what's the nature of that? How much work you going to put into it for distinction? Because we determine distinction, the quality, we determine that. We have to make stars. All the beauty you see, where that come out? That comes out of the mind, the female aspect of us. The beauty comes from her. We respect it, but beauty comes from her. We appreciate it because we got that 10%. But the strength comes from us. The strength to put it out there. We need to understand the creation, how things work. And because one of the reasons I'm saying this, because your mind calculates, your brain is designed. And when you get correct information, whether you reject it or not, you still heard it. Because you have a compiler they put in front of you to reject anything the master has not approved of. But the problem master have is he got to start hearing it. And that's what the news stations come in for. The propaganda, to make sure you hear no more than what they want you to hear. Because if you hear something contrary, your brain is going to try to figure it out, to balance out. Wait a minute, I heard this, heard that. And it's going to make the right calculation because the information is in there already. So your brain is going to make the right calculation based on information it gets. It's always going to make the right calculation based on information it gets. The problem is, what kind of information is it getting? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. You say, oh man, you ain't getting no files. Look at those files. I put information out there because when you hear it, whether you like it or not, you may not like it, but your brain still heard it. And your brain is going to calculate against what the opposing view is, and it's going to start clearing your mind up. Clean your mind up until you become conscious of it, that your mind's being cleaned up. Because all of a sudden you say, well, they can start I can do this. Wait a minute, hold it. Then you realize that this, everything, the truth was affecting you. So, back to, so once the earth itself, because the earth is our mother. See, not only we have these minds and things deep under the earth also, but the biological interaction between us and the earth. I said the earth is a living thing. It's not a living being, a living thing. So we have a symbiotic relationship between us and earth. There's absorbs energy and produces form that we can use. We set all that up. So there's a biological connection between us and the earth. Earth produces our food for us. We did all that. That doesn't happen by itself. See, recycling. What the earth does, the water. We have, while we were underground, we set up underground rivers. They say, did you realize that you have underground rivers? How do you think they build wells out in the middle of the desert? How did the water get there? It's not coming from rainwater because we have underground rivers, underground lakes. That's part of the reason why we had to let this whole kind of contradictory industrial system we allowed to happen, so to get rid of that oil, because the oil was about to pollute our fresh water because we can't drink ocean water. We used to live there. We used to be able to do it. Now we can't drink ocean water. We have to have free fresh water. So we set all that up. It didn't happen by itself. We set all that up. We control the creation. So finally, once we did all of that and made the earth, right? Because remember, the earth at first, it was fire, core of a star. So it was totally secreted as being fire. But once we became biological, then we had to take the earth and reform it to be we're secret each other biologically. Now that was solar system either solar system too, because the moon is that's connected to the female cycle, whereas the sun is in sync with our yearly cycle. We didn't come in sync with the sun. We put this earth to go around the sun in a year because that conforms to our yearly cycle as a biological being. These things you understand eventually. So I'm saying I'm putting information out there and you hear it. They're trying to prevent you from hearing it, but your mind is still going to take it in, and it's going to connect to everything else, and when your valve is clearing up, and one day you're going to realize all of a sudden your mind's clear, and you don't understand how it happened, because it was happening all the time. We was getting correct information that made sense, but when you're getting bad information, then you think that's all it is. Like if you was all your life, all you're drinking dirty water, that's the way water is, until one day you walk around and you see some fresh water, you taste it, you see the difference. You're not going back to that dirty water again, because all you've been getting is dirty water. Anyway, so this is what they remove after finish completing the biology, the earth, right, to be biologically compatible with our new biological creation. Move to the oceans. And then eventually, after 3 years, we move to the land. And then we start that part of creation. Trees and insects, they all have a purpose. They all fit and have a purpose. So we didn't have a responsibility more. We delegate that responsibility to this. You do this. You do this. You do this. Do that. And then finally, we bring a beast that can speak to us. That's the devils. Their responsibility for civilization. They're still going to be their responsibility, but not them. That's because we made a separation between the analytical and the spatial. Master Muhammad represents the analytical, and we represent the spatial. That's why you see in the ark, you have the top, the spatial, right under that, analytical. On the right had the ambidextrous. That's the Levites. They still, as your creation, they still both. So they communicate between the two. That's another story altogether. But I'm getting to my defeat situation. So we did that. But now, the completion, but we made stuff more distinct. So now the original nature, see the Abraham, this particular strain, the Jacob strain, because it says it's time of Jacob's trouble, out our trouble, that line, that lineage, right, that has become, because Dr. Shabazz, that has become 90% spatial, more creative than the first being. While the Shia, right, they're 90% technical, analytical. That's what Master Muhammad represents, because he got that technical marvel they can't touch. Then we got the extremes. The devils who are totally technical but no spatial connection. And we got these super Christian, some Lama demons, but some are just extreme, where, they're very spatial, man. What they say is true, but it's not useful. Just, everything will take care of itself. That's how they talk, right? Just believe in Jesus, believe in God. So they talk, they'll take care of it. Well, yeah, but that kind of lies doesn't produce anything. So we get rid of both of them. That's what we're going to do. So we become more distinct. So now we, at the height of our creativity, But the best form we could possibly have, you look out at the universe, into the planet, and we see all the things that came out of us, all the things we brought into existence. And now, we're reversing it. Now we have to bring those things back. That's no process I'm going to talk about another time. Because we cannot go back to the beginning in this form. Because the pressure becomes too great. Our form cannot take that extreme kind of pressure. So we have to kind of bring those attributes back into ourselves to make us structure strong enough to handle the pressures until we get back to the beginning, and only one person can make it all the way back to the beginning. Then we start the whole process all over again. That's the way it works, brothers and sisters. So where does death fit in all of this? See, the universe as a spell, it tended to death because we was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. See? Now I'm explaining, I'm going to give you a definition of death. But I want you to think about the thing I just talked about for a minute, right? Because I got a little situation I have to take care of right now. It's going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. So you think about that, brothers and sisters, and I'll be right back. Okay, brothers and sisters, I think that's taken care of. Okay. Now to set this up to get to my main point here. See, it tells you in the scriptures that the universe was groaning and everything. It leads to death, because the expansion leads to death. Because it took energy away from us. So yeah, we created, but it still took, we became weaker and weaker and weaker because we take things out of us. We made us weaker and weaker and weaker, even though it made us more defined. So they call it, the scientific word for it, entropy. ENTRPHY, I believe it is. Entropy. So look it up. It's tend towards death. So that was creation and expanding. But in reverse, it tends towards life. Tend towards life. That's why the fire angels resisted the igniting of the universe to begin with. They knew that meant eventual death to them, because they no longer exist. There's no fire angels around anymore. No fire beings at all. So death defeat. That's why it says in the New World, it says, "Oh, grave, where's thy victory? Oh, death, where's thy sting?" Because death, that was the end of it. But now we tend to life. That's why it talks about everlasting life and things like that. Because now we're in that cycle. We're in that phase of the creation. Everlasting life and things. See, we're in that phase of the creation. And so, but we had to go through this period, since we go into deprivation, we took advantage of that to try our people, because we go into hereafter. We want perfection. We want a nation that will live forever. We don't want any clowns or fools, demons. We don't want any trouble. That's why it says the covenant will go to seed Abraham that submitted. That was the primary key there, submission. When they say submission to the will of Allah, that's not an individual person talking about. They're talking about submission to mathematics, to the creation, because our creation is mathematics. They're talking about Holy Spirit, total submission. Then we have everybody be compliant, because we're one body. We need to understand how the creation works, because most of us have no idea. Oh man, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm party. They think that's the lie that the devil's telling them. So they think, and they don't understand that's not the way this body works. That's like your heart saying, oh hell, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Well, the whole body's gonna die. And I'm gonna party. The whole body's gonna die, because each one of us is a cell in the body, and we have to coordinate each other, incorporate each other to keep the body alive. This lie they're telling you, they tell you something, brother, I could spend years just telling all the different things they come at you with. But if you focus on the basic thing, I tell you not to worry about all that stuff. Because these clowns out here, they expose that stuff, don't realize it. Once you're in sync with the body, not only are you powerful and secure and happy, right? You're also immortal, because that's where your true happiness will come, when you sync with the body. Because then all the body, see, I can go to the mathematics of how when you like when you take blocks, you put them together, combine them together, as opposed to one by itself, how much it eases the pressure is diminished tremendously. I'm not gonna go there here. I'm gonna talk that another time. But I just want to get to this idea about death. So we want to close the door on anyone that's going to cause trouble, any cancer to this body. There's not wholesome, because we want a healthy body. That's why Superman's first job is to get rid of demons, because they're the major cancer to the body. Elijah Muhammad pointed out the devils, right? They weren't a cancer to the body. They was a cancer to the whole planet. And demons are cancer to our body, so we have to take them out. So once the body is healthy, then it's turned over to Master Muhammad. He sets a kingdom that will last forever. So let's go on just a little more and see if you can understand where I'm coming from, brothers and sisters, because you've been lied to on a spectacular level. It says to go out and deceive the whole world. Part of the reason to deceive is just the ignorance. It's like a dog, right? A dog will bring you a bone, wants you to eat it. But the dog, he means well, but you can't eat that bone. Because, that same thing. The devil's even to tell you the truth is bad. Because they're ignorant. They don't know how the universe works. They don't know the things I'm telling you. So even if they tell you the truth based on what they understand truth, their intention to tell the truth is still bad for you. Like the dog will tend to give you a bone. He loves you. Here's a bone, master. You can't eat that bone. So let me give you an example here. No, death. First you got to define death. When they tell you death is not death, they tell you, death is defined and you have to you got to go for a certain date. And then the fools, for Ishmael, that lying dog, right? He's not a demon, he's a liar. He tells one man, death is determined. You can't do anything about it. God turned. Then 5 seconds later, telling you how you to live. What the hell? That's contradictory. Why? How you gonna tell me I can live longer if you just told my life was determined already? So what do I need how to live? What's the point of even doing it? Because they're so stupid, they can't see a connection. That's how ignorant they are. Ignorant people. They're totally ignorant over there. They're totally confused. Part of the reason they're confused because truth is surrounding them. But death is a very simple concept of death. When you understand the universe is, our reality is pressure, once you understand that, you clearly understand that, and your thought is pressure, when your pressure is equal or greater to the pressure externally, then you're alive. If it's greater, you're successful. If it's equal, you're alive. Right? You getting through it. You handling it. If it's greater, you're successful. But if it's less, you're dying. And the differential depends on how fast you die. The nature of your death. It could be long, slow cancer if it's a small differential, or it could be car accident or just heart attack or something. That doesn't happen. People say, well, yeah, but how can it be hard? No, because right now we're suffering from energy deprivation. Even after 1948, we no longer suffer energy deprivation, but we self-imposed energy deprivation. But now we have enough energy to maintain ourselves, but just to maintain ourselves. But some of us still need to do other things. So our body is not rejuvenated. Only thing we're doing is if we are following how to live in those things, our body is just not degenerating as fast as it was before. But this energy burst we're about to receive now, the earth is already processing it. It's going to put an end, right, to any disintegration because we're wilting. We don't have that problem anymore. Unless we self-impose energy deprivation by diverting our energy to other things other than maintaining ourselves. Understand that. So in that context, because that's what death is, your external pressure becomes greater than your internal pressure, so you're crushed out of existence. And the greater differential, so you're out of it, you're going to die. Where's suicide, whatever, because that happened. Where's suicide? That's what we call depression, right? Where's pressure? Depression is precious. That's what it says in the word. That means you're being depressed. When you're being depressed, that means you're being crushed. When you squeeze, it's depressed. The more you press down, the more depressed it becomes. That's what it is. See, it's in the language. Temper, that means your temperature. You get hot. It's in the language. So the thing is, if you can maintain a greater internal pressure than external, then you defeat death. Now, you could not do that during energy deprivation 5 years ago. You couldn't do it 100 years ago. You couldn't do it 50, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, rather. Right now, you can't do it completely, but you can do enough, right, to keep death at bay until you finish this energy that we're getting now. We get energy every 50 years. The energy we're getting now will be enough to offset that, and there's no problem anymore. Because now you have enough energy, if you use it properly, to maintain more energy, to maintain a greater positive energy, greater pressure than external pressure. So there's no death. It says, "O death, O grave, where's thy victory? O death, where's thy sting?" That's what said. It will be said in the hereafter. Not now. Why I say he will say to death, "O death, where's thy?" He will say to it. That means future. Why couldn't they say it back then? Why did they say that 2,000 years ago? It says he will say, "O death, where's thy? O grave, where's thy victory? O death, where's thy sting?" Because that's what will happen right now if you're applying the 5 fundamental principles of Islam right now. You still have enough to keep it at bay. That's what hereafter they are sure. You have no fear of death. But once this energy that's we're about to receive and use it properly, you have death And let me say something about this energy. It says, Quran says, it's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes to you both of a sudden. That means the earth, as the universe contracts, it comes back in energy waves approximately 50 years. Now we can track this because our first positive energy wave that we had was in the 1860s. That's when we started being energized. We're strong enough to break the change, because remember the pressure was great on us, but now we're strong, so the pressure wasn't as great as it was before. So we're still suffering, but not as much. So that means the situation we was in the fields, we were able to prove our situation. They didn't do anything for us because they was part of the pressure that was crushing us. But now we've got a little more, so we was able to keep them from crushing us as much as they were before. So, but they want to give it, they want to translate that, oh, we freed you, we started being in the fields. No, they want to translate that, they can translate what they want to. I'm just telling you exactly what happened. And our music tells all. Because when the blues come in, it came in the 1860s. Why? Because they're blues. Now, we wasn't in the fields anymore, but we had nothing. We had the blues. We knew what to do. We was in a better condition than we were, but we were still in a bad condition. That was the blues all about. 50 years later, the jazz. We're still in bad condition, but not as bad as we were before. But they keep saying we're making progress. Well, why are you making progress? You're so good. Why are you going to make progress? Why can't you just do good? Why are you going to make progress to do good? By definition, that means you're still doing bad if you're making progress to do good. But they want to qualify, they want to classify as they want to. That's their business. I'm just telling you what actually happened. Then 50 years later, in the 60s, right, now you got another movement. And now you're doing better. Right? The music changed. Now you're doing better. You understand? But still bad, but better than you was before. And now you're 50 years later, and now look, there's more tension and more pressure between us and them. And you're gonna break all that change. You're gonna break their. See, right now they was losing control over you. They lose control. In the 60s they had total control. You broke some of it. 50 years later you broke a little more of it. 50 years later you broke a little more. Now you break total control. They will have no control over you after this. The demons they have, because they still have them, they don't have no control over us after this what's going on right now. It's changing the world, and their power over the world has been breaking slowly, getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Right now, their power over the world is as weak as it's ever been. That's why they're going to war, because they want to maintain their power, and they can't. They want to maintain their power, but they don't have the power. They don't have the power to do it. You can track that every 50 years. So now we do for energy resurrection or energizing, which they break their power over us all together. It means we return home. That's for those of us that understand what's going on, and we start using that energy that we have to maintain ourselves instead of going here bebopping and going to shows and partying, all kind of stuff, vaping. Because if you want to do that, that means you self-impose, you give them control they normally wouldn't have. You giving them control, and that's their part, and that's their part to play right now in this whole game, is to trick you into giving them control. Oh man, interracial marriage, let's party, get this the Democratic Party, all this kind of stuff. See, all this stuff to keep you distracted and using your energy frivolously, ineffectively, inefficiently, instead of using it to maintain yourselves. So now they got you distracted. So now you're still suffering all these pressures because you're doing all this stuff. American dream, mortgages, you want to go to schools, all this kind of stuff you're doing because Farrakhan tell you, oh, you ain't got no choice. You got to stay here. And this all this stuff. Instead of preparing to get out of here, so you're caught in this gravitational vortex where you can't get out of it and you're doing it to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. Because we're teaching you what you need, how to take advantage of energy, So you'll be suffering these things. I'm 73 years old. I'm not suffering any of those things. See? So that's what death is. Let me show you. Let me give you an example. Let me show you it right here. See right here? Now, at this point, that's how much that individual controls. He controls that much, kept death at bay, because the pressure, his pressure inside is equal to the pressure on the outside. So it's stable. As long as they're equal, they're stable like that. His pressure inside become greater and he start growing. Come less, this is what will happen. Yeah, crush our existence. That's it. Crush our existence. Darkness no longer exists. Because the pressure, our external pressure, became greater. Now, during energy deprivation, we couldn't handle it, but now we do. So if he sits there and don't do anything about maintaining his inner pressure, then outer pressure will crush him. Our existence, slowly or surely, whatever. Now, this crushing us because right now we have enough energy to maintain ourselves, but we want to maintain families and all things like that. So that's where we do that. So that's a little bit disadvantage. So we age. But at this point, right, we can break, right, death's hold. Because we have enough energy to do it now, and the earth is about to give us this burst of energy, about to realize it. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes to you all of a sudden. And this is what you're going to experience. Force field. What's a force field? See, that's what Suleiman come to give you all these things to prepare you. He didn't just come empty-handed. And he taught two prophets out there all this information, how whether they understand it, do it, that's up to them. It's up to them. Like once you set prophets and messengers in motion, you step back and see if they perform it, how well they learn. Now, that's why Muhammad told Muhammad, then step back and see how much he learned. He said he didn't get the questions 100%, but step back, let him do his job. Otherwise, he might as well stay and do it himself. But the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam, that builds your force field. Because that builds your pressure, internal pressure. And the more you apply it, the bigger it is. So the point is, if you can find where you apply it to the extent, if you're able to, because it takes energy to do that also. It takes energy to do that. And we could not do that during energy deprivation, because apply it wouldn't work. Because it takes energy to do it, we didn't have energy to begin with, enough energy, and then put energy to that, so the benefit wasn't even worth the effort. But now we can. So you apply them, you increase your internal pressure. That means 2 things can happen. You either create your internal pressure is equal to your outer. That means, okay, you keep death at its door. You're not aging anything, you just, like I said, and that's harder the more complex you are. So in other words, the weaker of us can do it more effectively. The stronger, like that's what elevated place in the Quran, the closer you get to the more advanced, like the scientists and stuff. Remember, they're elevated places. It's longer because they're more complex. Like myself, I'm still aging, but not as fast as I would if I wasn't doing this. And I'm aging at a pace, right? That as soon as I get energy burst, I can offset that and reverse the effect. Because that's what happened. So you turn back to your wilting, the Quran and the Bible both teach you that you return back to youth. How does that happen? How do you return to your youth? Because you build this force field. When you do that, you build this force field. Because now the force field is when great inner pressure is greater than outer pressure. That's a force field, because nothing on the outside can do anything to you. Because it's lower pressure. If you higher pressure, then nothing in the lower pressure can do anything. There's a force field. You build that force field, you build it as strong as you want it. as great as you want it. That's up to you. How much energy you put into it. And that force field also keeps death away, because your inner pressure is greater than outer pressure. So you defeat death and defeat any adversary who is a lower pressure than you. And defeat every devil. No devil, that says no hair in your hair will be harmed. Why can it say things like that? It says no hair in your hair will be harmed. Because once you apply this, there's nothing they can do to you at all. Zero. The Quran says once you're in the right path, right, nothing can happen to you. That's where it says, so will give you this knowledge, and that's a force field. Nothing can happen to you. Like I said, in my case, right, being who I am, right, I'm more complex, so therefore it takes more energy to maintain myself. So therefore, I use this to not stop death, but to slow it down enough until I get another energy burst where I can just shut it down altogether. Shut it down altogether. That's what I said. You live as long as you want to live. This crap, bullshit that you hear from Farrakhan and them, oh man, you determined you can't. No, that's bullshit. That's not what the Bible teaches. That's not what the Quran teaches either. You put death to death. You overcome it. Oh, great, where is that victory? Oh, death, where is that sting? Create that force field. Those don't do it, they continue aging. Diabetes, hypertension, everything else, heart attacks, and they're gone. Strokes, whatever. That's up to them. That's their choice. But see, we want the ones that's wise enough to submit and use this knowledge. Those ones we want to hear after, because that's the people always going to survive. Because everybody else will be trouble. We're going to be wheelchairing people and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be doing all that. If you that case, you better apply to get out of that wheelchair. We're not going to wheel you into the hereafter. You can forget that. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, that's cold. Well, right, math is cold. Our Holocaust was cold too. Well, it was ice cold. But we proved, that was a test. We proved our submission. We proved that we was ready for the hereafter. Because we proved that we could handle the greatest stress, tension in the universe without flinching, because the God commands to do it, we obey him. So that means if we can obey him in that situation, there will be no problem in the hereafter. Not that there's a God who's going to be a tyrant telling you what to do, because nobody's going to tell you what to do. Well, I'm talking about mathematics. You be in total sync with mathematics. That's what obedience means. To get you totally in sync with mathematics. That was the whole purpose of going through this, right? Submission, because to get us, because we can submit to that, we can submit to mathematics, which is easier master. And when you're in secret universe, that means you're everlasting. When you're in secret universe, and that's this whole process was get you a secret universe. Everybody's out of secret universe. Well, there's part of having a good time, but it's our secret universe. And now consequences catching up with their ass. Consequences going to pass over us. As I said, some of you experience intimately, right? Because you see it up close. But it's not going to harm you if you're applying this. Because it says you're going to go through tribulation, but you will do exploits. That's if you're applying this. So you have to go to tribulation to prove that you are applying this. Because if you was applying it, if you had been listening to Elijah and found what he says, you would see, you would accept it, the stone that the builders collected, the stone that the builders rejected, Suleiman, and you had got this many years ago, and you just sailed right into the hereafter. But now we got to test you again. See, we've been tested already. 144,000 been tested. See? They're proven gold. Perfect. But you fail. So now you got to go to tribulation. But you do exploits if you understand this. Build your force field. Because you're going to need it. Because tribulation is no joke. If you don't have it, you will be crushed in a very bitter, evil way. Force field. See? So now he has his force field up. He's comfortable in that force field. That black force field has greater pressure than outer pressure. Now what happens? If the greater inner pressure is greater, then you're successful, you're growing. Because greater pressure expands in the face of lower pressure. So you're growing. It's very simple. Like I said, the simplicity of Christ is very simple. See? But I was saying, simple minds complicate and complex minds simplify. So you got a simple mind, this is very complicated to you. But I have complex minds that make it very simple. But simple mind will be very complicated too. See, so he has nothing to worry about there. Got his force filled up, 5 fundamental principles of Islam. He doesn't worry about it. He has to worry about death, nothing. So then you move into, you make it to the hereafter. Now you defeated death. Remember, you defeated. Now you can always bring it back. All you got to do is, as Muhammad said, and how he's living a life that you have into it. Why say that? That's not what they're teaching over there, the clowns. He says, when they decide they don't want to live any longer, they start living a life that has into it. That means they start doing things that outer pressure becomes greater than inner pressure. See? We won't do it quite like that. Some of us may, but we won't do it quite like that. But what we'll do is that we have to upgrade. Because remember I was telling you about how I'm trying to bring all this together. Our body changed over time because where we were in the beginning was fire beings. Now we're water-based. We're a whole different being now. And all those qualities, lions and tigers and whales, all those, we don't look nothing like we look now. Nothing. We don't have all these bodily functions. We was in the beginning, we didn't even have all these bodily functions like eliminating waste. Didn't have to do all that stuff. Our bodies, the type of body we had, it took care of all of that within itself. You have to eat anyway. Just like trees don't have to eat, right? They make it all for heat and the sunlight and so forth. We didn't have the sunlight at that time, but you get the point. So more distinct. So on the way back, if we're going to go back to being 1 billion again, we should bring all these attributes back into us, starting with the greatest ones, right? Get rid of the devils, bring us back, eventually, right? Because I said we're going to be one tribe, and right now we're in 2 phases, we're in 3 phases actually, lyrical, spatial, and ambidextrous. The Levites are ambidextrous, right? The Shia are technical, analytical, and the elect of Suleiman is spatial. And that's, so one's very creative, one's very technical, super creative, one's super technical, and you got the one that's in between that communicates between the both, ambidextrous. That's how the final. Now creation is finished. Now we start on way back, 72 years back. But our bodies cannot, remember the pressure of the universe is contracting, so but our bodies that we are now cannot withstand all that pressure. So we have to start bringing things back into us, change our form again. See? So what does that mean? So how long it takes to go from a million years, a billion years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, before you see any significant change in the form? So you live as long as you want, but you can't stay in that same form you are. Because that form will be just like in the expansion, that form is no longer viable. Just like when with the gender, the old genderless form was no longer viable anymore. It could not withstand the that's why it says they became dissatisfied because the tension was so great. And it's like a rubber band, you pull it, it's on the tension, but if it breaks, then everything relaxes back again, right? Same thing. So you pull that little attribute out and everything relaxes. Okay, when the gender came, everybody was dissatisfied because there's tension again. So they separated genders, everybody satisfied, that survived it, right? So you go down further. See? And the old ones, they couldn't survive anymore because they would still be under tension, remember? They would still be dissatisfied. Only ones that weren't dissatisfied was the new genders now. So same thing going back. But so we have to, in that case, right, we bring things back in to build our structures back up to withstand all the greater and greater pressures. We get better and better and better. But our form also changes to handle the greater and greater pressures. So we keep on until eventually, right, we move back into the ocean, then we're back to the center of the earth again. And that goes on forever. But there's no, so the thing is that you live as long as you want, but then when you see a significant change, you say, oh, well, I mean, if somebody 18 feet tall and you're 4 feet tall, how is that going to be? Everybody's 8 feet tall and you're 4 feet tall, is that what you want? So that's where it comes in, because we're increasing in energy in one body, so therefore, that's where it comes in. Take 4 birds, teach them to climb to you, right? Call them to come to flying. See? 4 birds, you get 2 sets of chromosomes from your parents. That's the 4. They combine. You know? But you put on every mountain, that means all your relatives got pieces of that chromosome. Your aunt got a little bit, your sister got a little bit, your brother got a little bit. Right? So you bring it all back together, that's you again. Right? And the thing is, there's all kinds of ways to make the connection in your consciousness, because we want the same body. So all of us are conscious of each other. We won't be conscious of each other to the point where we get to our personal habits, right? Toilet habit, we don't go. But we're all conscious of each other, because one being. That's why it says, remember the hereafter? It says we'll be able to tune in. That means all our minds be connected. That's what it's telling you, our minds be connected. So our education should be totally different than what it is right now. Because somebody knows calculus, right? All you got is tuning in because your mind's connected. Our education should be totally different. Nothing like this. Because right now you communicate education by talking, right? So you got to go with the ear's distance. You have to be some kind of way to communicate with the other person, right? With the ear's distance. But if you can tune in, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is be able to connect with the person. Education will be totally different. But your memories will be like in the cloud, because memories be with everybody, because everybody, you're part of the body, so your memories will be in everybody's minds, or your mind, their parts of their memories will be in your mind. So the whole thing is like in the cloud, all your memories there. So once you come back into existence, you just download your memories. Because when you place a cell in your body, it's an identical cell. It's only upgraded based on the circumstances that your body's in at that time. Because your body, as you get older, right, or as you move through time, your body's going to react to your environment around you. That's all be incorporated in your DNA, your cell structure. So the new cell coming will have all the information to keep you in sync with the new time that you're in. And same with you. You're a cellular body, and you'll come back in tune, right? And so as your memory and everything will be intact. As much memory, right? Unless somebody historical go way past, you know, because your brain can keep all that, but you'll be enough conscious to recognize that that's you again. As much memory as you want to maintain, because right now you don't maintain all the memory that you've had all your life. In fact, you probably maintain very little of your whole entire life. You maybe maintain some very special points that you want to keep up with, but 99% of what you've done all your life, you don't remember any of it. You just remember enough to know that you can make connection between you and the person yesterday. That's where it works, brothers and sisters. That's what I mean by eternal life, immortal life. And you're going to get that because you're Jacob's. So we're going to say that. See, the seed of Abraham, but you're Jacob. That's it. Time of Jacob's trouble. You're Jacob. Jacob is the one that went through the Holocaust. See, the tribe of Jacob. So you're Jacob. And this will inherit, unless you just throw it away for a bowl of soup, like Esau did, your brother. Now he's mad about it. At this point in time, the whole purpose of what I'm telling you right now, brothers and sisters, is to tell you that you have total control of your life going forward. It's up to you to take control. Up to you to take control. Don't let them fool you with Farrakhan, all that BS. You ain't going nowhere, and you're sinful, and God made you in the womb, and you had no control of it. Your mother had no control of it. God gave you his eyes, but yet still 5 seconds later tell God's a man. So how is this man in everybody's womb, that must be the animals too, making babies? How are you doing all that? And what if you're born with no eyes and he made a mistake and he fell asleep? We're born with physically challenged, right? We're born handicapped, any of those things. It means something wrong with God. It's all bullshit. I'm telling you, you've been bombarded with all kinds of stuff that makes no sense, and that's my point. See, and now I think I have more time to do that because I'm not being distracted. I've done my job as far as the Levite prophets, so now I can focus more and more on studying and getting this information out. Clean information. See, Elijah Muhammad, his Escalades, where it says, you have but one life and everything. He was never told that by Master Muhammad. He read that, but he was about the devils. Because the womb is closing and we never allow them to come back to the womb again. Because remember, they're not part of our body. They're cancer. So we never let that cancer come back. We're too healthy for it. That was said, evil will never raise its head again. Because our body's healthy, no cancer can exist. The demons and the devils will be gone. Our antibodies, so to speak, will remove any trace of any kind of cancer. We'll be so healthy, I mean, nothing could touch it. They'll be gone. Oh, grave, where's thy victory? Oh, death, where's thy sting? Your life is totally in your hands going forward. You apply these things, I'm telling you, right? Now, I had a presentation explaining about the 5 fundamental pillars of Islam. If you can locate those all 2 prophets and their wives, their prophetess, they can teach you about it. I'm not sure I'm gonna go through that again. I do have video presentations out there if you can find it. But I got some other things I'm gonna really speak about right now, because right now, if you go, I'm preparing a presentation now, but if you go out there and look in the world exactly like we're talking about is happening. Right now, China and India becoming allies. I said that years ago, they'd be allies. Now they're saying it right now, they become allies. And it says Iran has also become part of the SCO, they call it, whatever. They're all coming together. They won't call them acts of evil. Talking about that for years. Everything's coming to focus. But they're trying to deceive you, destroy you. That's all about. What's going on in the world right now is all about you. But you don't know it. And they're never going to tell you. But you have total control. Now listen to these. Oh, God's going to do, He will make you in the womb. No. No one's in that womb but you. No one was in that womb but you, period. You alone. You, the DNA. And you brought yourself into existence. Into this plane. Your father brought you into existence. He was in your father's womb. Oh, womb. Yeah, he was in your father. That was your first womb, your father. Then you came out of him, went to the second womb, your mother. And you found that egg with millions and billions of competitors. But you found it. You was the only one found it. So they all got washed out taught. That's what's about to happen here. Because it says only 144,000 going to find the eggs that I've been laying for the last 30 years. And it says after they're out here, this whole is going to be flushed down the toilet. Same concept, brothers and sisters. So I hope you understand. Your life is in your hands. It's up to you. All this bad luck you have out here, American dream, you're taking stuff. I told you it's a balance. Everybody has the same amount of energy, period. Only distinction is how you're using it. Are you investing it or are you blowing it? You just take care of your internal needs or you blow it on your external needs. That's up to you. But in hereafter, in a few more years, you have so much energy, you won't, that won't be consideration because you have so much energy, you have so much money, you don't worry about how much to spend it when you got so much of it, right? But right now you do. It's a critical point in your life where you have to manage your energy just right. If you do, you get phenomenal benefits. Not to mention, you're going to make it to hereafter, which is everlasting life. Live as long as you want to live. Then you get upgrade. So you stay in tune and sync with everyone else. So if you're 5 feet tall, then you get up. Okay, everybody safe 8 feet tall now. Upgrade, now you're 8 feet tall. That's up to you, brothers and sisters. You have total control. And listen to these clowns. They're trying to take control away from you. That process began 50,000 years ago. They took your land from you. Then they took your mind from you 35,000 years ago with this religious stuff. All this all bullshit. Can't prove any of it. They took you away from you 500 years ago. They brought you over here and took everything away from you. Now they want to take your very existence away from you and populate the world with demons that look like you to try to cover their crime. Because the scripture says it's 30. They say it's 34 million blacks in America, but 17 million are more demons. And you got them the lessons. They don't know those lessons. Let's say it was 17 million original people. It wasn't 17 million original people back in the 20s. Even with all the blacks together, it wasn't 17 million. Wasn't even close. Look at the census. He's talking about he's being prophetic. Because right now there's 17 million righteous, but 17 million are demons. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. But their purpose is get rid of you before you have chance, right, to stand up out of that womb. Because this nation is about to be born. When the war starts, the nation will be born. Before when the nation is born. They want to stop that. Like I gave the analogy. If you got winter people, they personification of winter. They got the ice castles, the ice weapons and everything else. Or they're vulnerable during the winter. And then spring start rolling in and they start losing their power. Ice starts turning into mush and rain, water. They're really losing their power to spring people. They don't lose their power. They know what the spring people would do after doing all the things they've done to them. That's what they do. They try to attack you while they still have power. That's what they're going to do. When they recognize their power is fading fast, they're going to attack you while they still have power. Because they don't know what you're going to do to them for what they did to you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We're going to leave it there. Hope you understand. Right? Death. You control it. Not no mystery God. There's nobody in the room making babies, giving people brains and eyes, all that kind of stuff. No, you did that. With DNA. They never heard of DNA, have they? You can get a telescope, a microscope, and look down there and say, hey, see somebody waving back at you, somebody created this baby. One of the reasons why they're saying that, because fire comes demon, so they can get around the fact his father's the devil and makes him a devil. So they can say, oh, no, it don't matter because God makes all the room. See, that's one of his little stupid tricks. If you buy it, you buy it. Then we don't want you anyway if you're that damn dumb. We don't want dumb people. We're not going to have it. That's it, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, excuse me. One thing more, brothers and sisters. I forgot this. Demon war. Can't let forget that one. I'm talking about demons, right? Full-fledged war with demons. I've been at war with them for 30 years. Get ready to close the door on it. We seal up demon war. Farrakhan Legion, Louis Eugene Ground, NOI backwards, read Mark. He's son of perdition. He's all that. None of the stuff that he's saying can he certify or back up with scripture. But we can back up everything that we say. He's Aaron, he's a liar, he's Peter, who bring demons into the church, right? He don't want to call devils devil anymore. He follows the devil, which makes him the devil. That's logic, that's mathematics, that's science, that's biology. You are what your sperm is, right? Sperm is alive. That was you. That's how you start out as a sperm, right? And you make an egg. The egg did not change your nature. It cannot change it. If you're alpha seed, you remain alpha seed. But you can cut up your appearance. And that's what happened. So he looks black a little bit, but it follows the devil, which means a demon, half devil, half man. And so he filled his church up with demons. That's what Peter. They think they're saying something powerful. Well, on this rock, first of all, if it's a rock, it has no roots. That's not good right there. See? But it sounds powerful on this rock. We build a house on rock, see how long it lasts. What happens when wind blows anything? All right? It has to have print roots. On this rock, I build my church. That's the subject, right? And the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So you got a church, you got hell, and you got the gates between the two. Now, gates are designed to keep hell in, not keep it out. Keep in. So he says, on this rock, remember, it has no foundation, no roots, I'll build my church. He's talking about Peter, right? Well, it says, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Well, if the gates of hell don't prevail, it means they fail, don't it? But they fail in doing what? You're keeping the devils and demons in, because that's what his purpose is. That means they flood into the church. That's what he's really saying. You don't know it. So he's a damn no good, stinking ass demon, period. I don't care what they like what I said, I'm telling the truth. And he's gone. He's toast. My first struggle be against him. Now, he's not even a struggle, really. But as soon as the war takes place, he's out of there. Until thrones are cast down and the ancient days is set, Elijah will be present at the time too. Demon war. See? That's Farrakhan them. He's with them. He beat them with them in the locust, the 5 more locust war when he's destroyed. I think that's it, brothers and sisters. That is it. I'm going to leave it there. I had a lot more to say on that, but I'm going to leave it there, brothers and sisters. We'll talk about it another time, demon war. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters.